What if everything you thought you knew about Meghan Markle was a lie? What if the biggest betrayal in royal history didn't happen inside Buckingham Palace, but in the heart of a college football locker room, halfway across the world in Michigan? What if Prince Harry, yes, that Prince Harry, just found out his wife was having an affair, not with a Hollywood actor, not with a tech billionaire, but with the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines? Sounds insane, doesn't it? And yet, that's exactly what appears to be unfolding right now in one of the most bizarre, humiliating, and genuinely shocking scandals ever to grip both the British royal family and American sports. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. This isn't just about a marriage on the rocks. It's about secrets, obsession, power, lies, and ultimately, a detainment that shook the sports world and blindsided one of the world's most controversial women. Because just days ago, under the cold blue Michigan sky, a man in a Wolverines cap was quietly escorted off school grounds. No press conference, no farewell speech, no explanation from the university. And then, hours later, he was detained by police. But it wasn't a crime that got him pulled into the back of that cruiser. It was a relationship, an inappropriate one, and according to multiple sources, both in sports media and royal circles, that relationship was allegedly with Meghan Markle herself. Now, before you roll your eyes or say, "Come on, this has to be gossip," ask yourself, why would the University of Michigan fire their most promising coach mid-season? Why would Meghan Markle suddenly go dark, cancel appearances, and be spotted arriving at a wellness retreat alone? Why did Prince Harry unfollow the University of Michigan on Instagram? Yes, he followed them. And delete a post just 1 hour after news broke of the coach's detainment? Why would a British prince even care about an American football coach? Unless he wasn't just watching from afar. He was watching his marriage fall apart in real time. And the kicker? This wasn't some one-off tabloid fantasy. This story has layers. Flight logs, deleted texts, security footage, and maybe the most devastating part? Prince Harry didn't find out from Meghan. He found out from a message. One message, sent by accident, to the wrong phone. His. Now, you're probably asking, how did any of this even happen? How did a former senior royal end up at war with a college football coach? Why would Meghan Markle, a woman with global fame and connections to Hollywood royalty, risk everything for a man whose name most of the world hadn't heard until it was too late? Is this the story of a passionate affair or a calculated move? Was Meghan escaping the pressures of royal life, or manipulating yet another man to validate her fading spotlight? And perhaps most painfully, was Prince Harry just the first to be betrayed? Because here's where things get really strange. Just days before the coach's firing, Meghan had been spotted boarding a private jet registered under a shell company that's been linked to 3 separate trips to Ann Arbor over the past year. Coincidence? Or is that just the beginning? Insiders at the university have confirmed that Meghan Markle was listed as a guest speaker on at least 2 internal memos for university-hosted wellness events. Events where, wait for it, the coach was also present. Yet no public appearances were ever posted. No press photos. No official speeches. Only the quiet movement of a woman trying not to be seen, but being seen by all the wrong people. Security camera footage, now buried under legal threats, allegedly shows Meghan arriving at the University Athletic Center after hours. A janitor who claims to have seen them together says, quote, "They weren't talking about football. Trust me." And when the arrest happened, it wasn't just the coach's phone that was seized. It was another phone found hidden in a gym locker. A phone registered to Communications. Locked, encrypted, but not clean, because on that phone, an open message thread with photos, nicknames, and one last message sent just 2 days before the arrest. It read, "I'm scared Harry knows. What if he finds the bracelet?" Now, if that doesn't make your jaw drop, let me tell you this. There's a photo, a grainy, zoomed-in still from a deleted Instagram story. It's Meghan. She's smiling, holding a Michigan cap, wearing a sweatshirt. But look closer, and you'll notice she's also wearing a bracelet. Not just any bracelet. The same one the coach's ex-wife posted on her Instagram months earlier, on her wrist. So let's ask the obvious question. How did Meghan Markle end up wearing the coach's ex-wife's bracelet? Why was she sneaking into Michigan? Why was the university trying to bury it? And most of all, How much did Prince Harry really know? Because when the coach was led away in handcuffs, the school called it a private personnel matter. But police didn't. They called it a case involving possible abuse of institutional resources in connection to an intimate relationship. Translation: he used university time, travel, and money to carry on a secret affair with someone who, by all accounts, had no business being there. And if that person was Meghan Markle, we're no longer just talking about a scandal. We're talking about a ticking PR bomb for the royal exiles. Archewell's board is reportedly furious. Netflix execs are monitoring the situation. And insiders say this could jeopardize Meghan's upcoming projects, especially if it turns out she lied in upcoming interviews. Because here's something we haven't mentioned yet. There's an unreleased sit-down interview Meghan filmed just 3 weeks ago with a major streaming network. In that interview, according to leaks, Meghan speaks candidly about her renewed commitment to family and healing the past with Harry. If this affair was happening at the same time, that's not just dishonest. That's career-ending. Or is it? Because here's the twist no one saw coming. Some sources believe the affair wasn't love. It was leverage. Meghan, they claim, needed something to hold over Harry's head as rumors swirled about his communications with women abroad. Could this have been mutual betrayal? A chess match of egos and insecurities disguised as romance? And if so, who made the first move? Did Meghan really fall for the coach's rough charm and underdog status? Or was the coach lured into something much darker and far more dangerous? We'll examine every theory. We'll follow every breadcrumb. Because this isn't just a gossip story. It's a story about trust, about what happens when secrets are protected by power and destroyed by the truth. But don't blink, because the most shocking twist? It's not the affair. It's not the arrest. It's not even Harry's heartbreak. It's what Meghan did next. And that part changes everything. How does a football legend go from locker room leader to a man in cuffs, without warning, without a press conference, and with the eyes of the nation suddenly locked on his downfall? Better yet, how does Meghan Markle fit into any of this? Let's rewind. It was a chilly Friday afternoon in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Just cold enough to see your breath. The kind of day where the air bites your face and the tension crackles louder than the stadium speakers. The Wolverines had just wrapped practice. Players were laughing, tossing towels, playing music through portable speakers. It was a normal day, or at least it seemed like one, until the sirens started. Not loud at first. Not the blaring, Hollywood-style entrance. No, these sirens were low, calculated. 2 black, unmarked vehicles rolled slowly into the campus athletic facility parking lot. Then, one police cruiser pulled up behind them. No lights, no noise, just presence. Campus security saw them first. You could tell by the way their posture shifted. The kind of alertness you only get when something feels off. Then came the silence. The kind of eerie, almost cinematic silence that makes you sit up straighter. Assistant coaches started whispering. Phones went away. The playlist cut off mid-beat. And that's when the head coach, known by his players simply as Coach H, stepped out of the tunnel. Clipboard in hand. Whistle around his neck. Michigan jacket zipped to the top. A man who'd led his team through storm after storm. A man who had become a legend. He looked confused, like he was walking into a conversation he didn't start. 2 officers approached. They weren't aggressive, but they weren't casual either. You could feel the energy shift. One officer nodded. Coach H blinked, as if not sure he was the one being addressed. Then came the words that would ripple through sports media, royal gossip blogs, and the halls of Buckingham Palace within 24 hours. "Sir, we need you to come with us. You're not under arrest, but we do need to speak to you in connection with an ongoing investigation." Players froze. You could hear someone mutter, "Yo, what the?" The coach hesitated. A moment of pride? Or panic? Then, slowly, he handed the clipboard to an assistant. No words. Just a nod. Like he already knew. This wasn't going to be a quick conversation. He walked with the officers. No cuffs. No resistance. But the whole time, his face never relaxed. Eyes darting. Breathing heavy. And the one thing no one could stop staring at? The phone clutched in his hand. He didn't put it in his pocket. He didn't check it. He just held it. Like it was his only lifeline. Now, normally, when a coach is suspended or fired, there's a process. A statement. A press release. Maybe even a temporary replacement announced. But not this time. Within 2 hours, the university scrubbed all references to Coach H from their website. His profile? Gone. His bio? Vanished. His schedule? Replaced by interim operations lead. The official statement was only 28 words long. Effective immediately, Coach H will no longer serve as head coach of the Michigan Wolverines football program. No further comment will be provided at this time. That's it. No cause. No acknowledgement of his years of service. No mention of the team's record-breaking season. Just silence. Which, in PR language, that's as close to a red alert as it gets. So naturally, speculation exploded. At first, fans thought it might be NCAA violations, something minor but serious enough to cause suspension. Recruiting infractions. Academic issues. Then came the whispers. Quiet at first, but sinister. Inappropriate behavior. Misuse of team funds. Unprofessional relationship. That's when the media started digging. And what they found stunned everyone. Because within a day, a Michigan sports reporter posted this now-deleted tweet. Not going to say names yet, but if the rumors are true about who the relationship involved, we're about to have a royal mess on our hands. People thought it was a joke, until someone connected the dots. A few sharp-eyed fans remembered a photo from months earlier, buried deep in Instagram stories, showing a woman who looked suspiciously like Meghan Markle, walking near the Michigan football complex. At first, people laughed it off. No way, that's Meghan. But the details were undeniable. Same sunglasses, same handbag, same rings, same bodyguard, seen escorting her at other public events. And then someone found something even more damning. A photo of Meghan laughing at a local coffee shop near the stadium with a man whose back was turned. She was wearing a Michigan hoodie, the kind only players and staff receive. Still think it's a coincidence? Because that's when the local police quietly confirmed the coach had been detained for questioning, not about any NCAA violation, but about an alleged inappropriate relationship with a high-profile public figure. They refused to name her, but they did confirm the investigation involved use of university travel funds, unauthorized access to secured facilities, and alleged misconduct during athletic events. Here's where it gets crazier. One of the officers involved in the detainment, speaking anonymously to a local paper, said this. We were asked not to seize anything unless we had cause. But the phone, yeah? That was going to be a problem. Because apparently, just before being led away, the coach attempted to delete messages from his phone. Quickly. Frantically. So quickly, in fact, that he tripped the university's cybersecurity flag system, which automatically creates a cloud backup every time mass deletions are attempted on a university-issued device. Translation? Those messages? They're not gone. And law enforcement now has them. What's in them? No one's saying officially. But insiders say they include romantic language, discussion of gifts, meeting locations, and at least one image described as deeply personal. Here's what one campus source told a journalist. It wasn't just flirty. It was emotional. Like she confided in him. Like she trusted him more than anyone else. There was even a line where she said, "When I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm being watched anymore." If that line doesn't scream Meghan Markle, what does? But here's the part that made Prince Harry's stomach drop. Because just hours after the detainment, a former staffer posted a cryptic message on Reddit. In it, they claimed to have overheard a conversation between Meghan and a man, believed to be the coach, during one of her alleged secret visits. The topic? Harry, and her frustrations. He's become so clingy. Everything's about damage control with him now. I just need someone who sees me, not the brand. You could almost hear the sarcasm. The detachment. This wasn't a woman defending her marriage. This was a woman escaping it. Now ask yourself, why would Meghan Markle, a woman with millions, global fame, Hollywood friends, and royal lineage, risk everything for a football coach? What did he have that Prince Harry didn't? Or maybe the better question is, what was she running from? Was this about love? Or revenge? Because remember, just weeks before this scandal erupted, tabloids had started murmuring about Harry being spotted with a mystery woman in Berlin. No proof, no photos, but plenty of smoke. Could this have been Meghan's retaliation? Or was she already gone long before that? One more thing. When Coach H was let out of the facility, one staffer swears he said this under his breath, just loud enough for one player to hear. It was worth it. Worth it. $1 million salary? Gone. A national title run? Destroyed. His career? Tarnished. But it was worth it? What does that tell you? And who, exactly, was he saying it for? Meghan? Or someone listening? Because here's what happened next. And it's the moment that flipped this story from scandal to full-blown conspiracy. Someone hacked into the university's internal camera feed and leaked a still image to the dark web. That image? Coach H and Meghan, standing just outside the locker room, his hand on her shoulder, her head tilted toward him. Their eyes locked. No one else around. No plausible deniability. And the timestamp? 9:47 p.m., 3 hours after a home game. On a night Meghan was supposedly in LA. The file name of that image? MM_NOV4_final. Final. Was that the last time they met? Or the last time they got caught? You'd think that would be the most shocking moment. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What kind of man could possibly entice a duchess? A former royal. A woman who walked behind Queen Elizabeth's coffin and sat beside Oprah. What kind of charisma, what kind of power could make Meghan Markle risk everything? Well, his name isn't being broadcast by the university or the police. Not yet. But insiders know him as Coach Harlan Price. And until 2 weeks ago, his name was synonymous with leadership, discipline, and an almost cinematic rise through the American football ranks. He wasn't just a coach. He was a phenomenon. But as the story unfolds, it becomes clear, this wasn't his first time walking the line between success and scandal. Let's rewind the clock. Before Michigan, before the fame, before the headlines, Harlan Price was a walk-on quarterback at a struggling Division II college in Texas. Not exactly the breeding ground of legends. But even then, people noticed something. Not just his arm strength. Not just his football IQ. No. What set him apart was his voice. Calm. Steady. Magnetic. The kind of voice that makes grown men shut up and listen. By his junior year, he wasn't just calling plays, he was rewriting them. By graduation, he had an offer to coach offense for a mid-tier team. From there, a rocket ship. He rose faster than almost anyone in the industry. Assistant coach by 26. Offensive coordinator by 30. Head coach of a Big Ten program before 38. Media called him the disruptor. The guy who didn't care about tradition. Who wore black sneakers with a suit on game day. Who gave press conferences that sounded more like TED Talks. And the fans loved it. The school? Even more. Because Coach Price wasn't just winning. He was building a brand. Recruitment videos that looked like Nike ads. Motivational speeches that went viral. One fan account on TikTok has over 12 million views on a clip of Price saying, "Discipline isn't silence. It's choosing what noise you're willing to ignore." But even legends have shadows. And Coach Price had a few. You see, buried beneath the highlight reels and inspirational quotes were whispers, rumors, stories that never made it to the front page, but never quite disappeared either. One from a former staffer claimed that Price blurred boundaries with certain female colleagues. Another hinted that travel arrangements on recruiting trips didn't always align with the official records. And then there was the intern. Her name never made the media, but in 2018, she abruptly left the program mid-season. No explanation, no interviews, just a vague statement about personal reasons. 2 months later, Price quietly stepped back from his role at the time. Not fired, not suspended, just gone. For exactly 3 weeks. When he returned, the university put out a press release about his renewed focus and leadership resilience. And just like that, the whispers faded. Why? Because he kept winning. Winning cures everything, right? That's what they say in sports. Until it doesn't. Because here's the twist. The person who recommended Harlan Price for the Michigan job? A board member who also sits on the board of a Hollywood production company. A production company that's worked with Archwell. Yes, that Archwell. So now we're asking the question again. Was this really just a coach getting too close to a celebrity? Or was something bigger at play? Did Meghan Markle know who he was before the alleged affair began? Or did someone introduce them? Sources suggest their first confirmed meeting was at a joint mental wellness and athletics panel hosted in LA with guests from both Hollywood and collegiate sports. But a university planner leaked a curious piece of scheduling data. According to her, Meghan was not on the public speaker list. She was listed as special guest M. No surname, no bio, just a single letter. Who else gets that kind of treatment? And more importantly, who approved it? When asked, The planner said. We were told she was there to observe. No photos, no press. But it was clear who she came to see. She and Coach Price talked for almost an hour after the panel ended. Everyone else had left. I pretended to pack up, just to listen. And I'll say this, he wasn't talking to her like a fan. So was it admiration? Flirtation? Or something more calculated? Let's dig deeper into who Price really is, beyond the coach. Born in El Paso. Raised by a single mother. Father left when he was 4. That abandonment left a scar. He's spoken about it in interviews. Talks about how football gave him structure when everything else felt chaotic. He said once, I never knew what it meant to be royalty, but I knew what it meant to be invisible. And maybe that's why I coach, because I don't want any of my guys to feel like nobody sees them. That line now reads a little differently, doesn't it? Because if Meghan Markle has claimed anything over the years, it's this, that the royal family made her feel invisible, erased, silenced. So when you put these two stories side by side, one man who wanted to see, and one woman who was desperate to be seen, what do you get? A collision, a spark, maybe even something dangerous. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. What kind of man is Coach H behind closed doors? Ask his players, and they'll say he's a mentor. Ask his staff, and they'll say he's a perfectionist. Ask his ex-wife? Now that's where it gets interesting. Because after 6 years of marriage, Coach Price's wife filed for divorce quietly last year. No press, no public fighting, just a sealed filing and a terse statement. Irreconcilable differences. But court documents, recently unsealed, reveal a more complex truth. In one deposition, his ex-wife wrote, Harlan is brilliant. He's also deeply charismatic. But sometimes, I didn't know which version of him I was coming home to. The motivator? Or the manipulator? That line alone sent shivers through sports forums when it leaked. And it raises the question, was Meghan Markle seduced by the motivator or the manipulator? Did he charm her? Or did she target him? Or, more unsettling, did they see each other in their darkest moments? Two people who knew how to play to the crowd, who knew how to craft narratives, who built their careers on perception, and who, perhaps, thought they could control the story this time, too. But here's where things start to spiral. Because right before the alleged relationship began, Coach Price gave a speech to a group of players that, looking back, feels chilling. In it, he said, sometimes your biggest win doesn't come on the field. It comes when you finally choose to do something you're told not to. Something no one would understand, until it's done. Cryptic? Or confessional? Did he think what he was doing was right? Was it defiance? Was it love? Or was it just ego? Whatever it was, it didn't stay a secret for long. And just when we think we've mapped his rise, just when we think we've understood the man behind the clipboard, just when we think we've pieced together how he and Meghan collided, a former player speaks out. He says he once saw Coach Price leaving a hotel room early in the morning during a team trip. The room wasn't his. He says he recognized the woman. He couldn't place her then. But now, he's certain. He says it was Meghan Markle. And the worst part? He swears this happened over a year ago. Which means, the affair might not be recent. It might be longer, deeper, and more entangled than anyone ever imagined. And what happens next? Well, let's just say the next time Meghan Markle appears in public, she's not going to be smiling. Because a new leak is about to hit the press. And this one won't be so easy to deny. What do you do when the most famous woman in the world wants to disappear? You don't flash cameras. You don't call the tabloids. You don't post selfies. You clear the runway, and you don't ask questions. Because when Meghan Markle flies under the radar, she doesn't travel commercial. She moves in silence, like a ghost with a glam squad. And according to flight records, hotel logs, and at least 3 confirmed eyewitnesses, Meghan Markle has made at least 5 undocumented trips to Michigan in the last 14 months. 5. Not for charity. Not for official business. Not a single public appearance tied to these visits. So why was she there? Let's connect the dots. The first trip happened in late October of last year. A private jet registered to Archwell Aviation LLC, a shell company tied to Markle's business filings in Delaware, landed at Ann Arbor Municipal Airport at 6:37 p.m. on a Thursday night. No one of public interest was scheduled to be in Michigan that week, except for one detail. Michigan Wolverines had a home game that Saturday. A huge one. National spotlight. ESPN coverage. And guess who was photographed standing alone in the exclusive skybox during that game, wearing a black hoodie, sunglasses, and a ball cap? A woman who looked exactly like Meghan Markle. At first, people thought it was a fan doing cosplay, until someone zoomed in on her hand. The ring, the bracelet, the nails, painted in her signature nude tone. Not enough. Let's move to the second trip. This one was even more covert. According to a reservation under a fake name, Monica H., someone matching Meghan's exact physical description stayed at the Graduate and Arbor Hotel, checking in on a Tuesday and checking out Thursday morning. Now here's the catch. That hotel? It's less than 2 blocks from the university's athletic center. And even stranger, security camera footage from the hotel lobby, later leaked by an anonymous employee, shows this woman entering and exiting through the service entrance. Every time, wearing oversized hoodies, no makeup, carrying her own bags. For someone known for loving luxury, that's a curious switch-up. Unless, of course, she didn't want to be recognized. But perhaps the most suspicious element of all. During that same week, Coach Harlan Price was mysteriously absent from 2 scheduled media appearances. No explanation, no illness, no emergencies, just conflict in schedule, coincidence, or something far more intimate. Let's keep going. The third trip, January. Dead of winter. Michigan was blanketed in snow. Meghan was allegedly seen at a wellness center just outside of Detroit. She wasn't alone. The man she was with, a tall figure wearing Michigan athletic gear, baseball cap, pulled low. Employees say they weren't allowed to speak to the guests. All names were signed with initials. But the woman paid with a black card tied to a Montecito address. Yes, the same Montecito address Meghan and Harry call home. And now comes the fourth trip, which is where things start getting explosive. This time, Meghan's private jet landed not in Ann Arbor, but in Chicago. Why? Because Chicago's private airport has fewer flight reporters, less scrutiny. From there, she was driven to a hotel in Detroit, 3 hours away, where she stayed for just one night. At the same time, Michigan's team was holding a private strategy retreat just outside the city. No media allowed. No fans. Just players, coaches, and apparently, one mysterious female visitor. A source from the hotel staff, speaking under anonymity, says a woman matching Meghan's profile entered the hotel through a side entrance, met with a male guest in a penthouse suite, and left before sunrise. But here's the part that made reporters do a double take. That suite was registered to a corporate sponsor, tied to the university, meaning the coach didn't even pay for it. It was comped, paid for by the same people funding the football program. Still think this was an innocent friendship? And finally, the fifth trip. This one came just weeks before the scandal broke. A journalist following aviation logs noticed a plane, again registered to an Archwell-connected holding company, landed late at night at the Willow Run Airport outside Detroit. This airport isn't public-facing. It's mostly used for cargo. Yet, on that particular night, a black Escalade was waiting on the tarmac. No press, no escorts, just one driver, holding a sign with the letter M. That same night, Coach Price canceled a dinner with donors. He told them he was meeting someone from California about nil deals. Funny, because NIL refers to player endorsements. And Meghan Markle isn't a sports agent. So what was she really doing there? Even stranger, a TikTok surfaced a few days later, since deleted, showing a woman with Meghan's profile walking through a Michigan campus building at 11:14 p.m. And on her wrist, the same bracelet seen in the controversial leaked photo. The one people believe she received from Coach Price. So now the pieces are starting to lock into place. Multiple unpublicized visits, secret hotel stays, service entrances, deleted footage, late-night meetings, bracelets, and all while Meghan Markle was still giving interviews about healing and rebuilding trust in her marriage with Prince Harry. Let's talk about those interviews for a second. Because during this time, Meghan was actively pitching a new series focused on resilience and reinvention. In one pitch deck, now leaked, she talks about telling the untold stories of leaders redefining legacy on their own terms. Does that sound like a subtle nod to someone? Someone like Coach Harlan Price? A man who, at the time, was being praised for mentoring young black athletes, shaking up conservative systems, and leading with vision instead of fear. Could he have been one of her untold stories? Or was he more than that? Was he the story she didn't dare tell because it was hers? Let's not forget, during this entire time, Prince Harry was in Europe, promoting his memoir and preparing for charity appearances. And according to royal insiders, he had no idea Meghan was making these trips. In fact, he thought she was in California the entire time. She told him she was visiting a friend at a retreat. She claimed it was digital detox time. She even sent him photos of herself meditating near a window. But digital forensics experts claim the metadata on those photos doesn't match California's time zone. They match Eastern Standard Time. Michigan. It wasn't just deceit. It was choreography, meticulously planned, strategically hidden, and executed without leaving a public trail. Almost. Because in the end, what unraveled it all was arrogance. One small moment of ego. A moment that always comes when people think they're untouchable. Meghan allegedly posted a photo to her private Finsta, fake Instagram account, visible only to close friends. The image? A coffee cup, a Michigan cap, and the caption, "Nothing like a home win." That post was screen captured by someone. It made its way to a royal gossip forum. And from there, it exploded. Suddenly, people were asking questions, comparing timestamps, tracking flight logs, digging deeper, and just like that, the entire secret web Meghan thought she'd hidden unraveled thread by thread. And guess what was waiting at the center? A man, a phone, and one very incriminating message. But we'll get to that. Because the real bombshell isn't that Meghan went to Michigan. It's what she left behind. A digital fingerprint, a trail of messages, and, according to one university source, something even more shocking. There was surveillance footage the police didn't release. Footage that shows more than her arriving. It shows her staying, hours at a time, in private rooms, with Coach Price. And in one clip, she's holding his hand. They say it's locked away, part of the official investigation, sealed for now. But if that footage ever sees daylight, the narrative will implode. Because this wasn't some casual flirtation. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was a long-running, methodical relationship. Hidden, protected, and very, very real. But what comes next? That's the part no one's prepared for. Because if Prince Harry's reaction to the affair was ice-cold silence, his reaction to how he found out, that will break the internet. One image, one angle, one moment frozen in time. That's all it took. For Prince Harry, it wasn't just a photo. It was a dagger, sharpened in silence, delivered in public. A silent scream broadcast to millions, and yet, not meant for him. But once he saw it, everything changed. But let's not start with Harry. Let's start with the photo. It dropped with no warning, no fanfare, no context. Just a blurry Instagram story posted by an assistant trainer from the Michigan Wolverines. It was only up for 11 minutes. The caption? Late night reset with the big boss. Hashtag grind mode. At first glance, it looked innocent. Just two people standing in front of a dimly lit window in a hallway. One figure clearly Coach Price, tall, broad-shouldered, unmistakable. The second figure? Shorter, hoodie pulled tight, head slightly tilted. Not obvious. Not until people zoomed in. Not until someone brightened the contrast. Not until a single, glinting bracelet gave the game away. Because that bracelet had been seen before. In fact, it had been front and center in Meghan Markle's Vogue profile 3 months earlier. A vintage Cartier love bracelet. Gold. Distinct. Subtle, if you weren't looking for it. But once it caught the light in that photo, there was no one seeing it. And that's when the internet went feral. Reddit threads exploded. Gossip accounts posted side-by-side comparisons. Same bracelet. Same posture. Same fingers. Was it her? Or just someone with similar style? And then came photo number 2. This one, not from a trainer, but from a player's girlfriend. She had posted a boomerang of the team walking through a hallway before a big game. In the background, barely visible, almost cropped out, was a woman walking in the opposite direction. Same hoodie, same bracelet, but this time her hair was down, and it was unmistakably Meghan Markle. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't waving. She looked serious, focused, almost like she didn't want to be seen. She didn't know the camera was rolling. And that was the point. This wasn't staged. This wasn't PR. This was real. 2 photos. Hours apart. Same night. The internet didn't need more proof. But they got it anyway. Because the next day, a 3rd photo leaked. This time from a delivery driver. He had dropped off sushi at a private rental home just outside campus. A man answered the door, believed to be Coach Price. Behind him, standing casually near the kitchen counter, a woman, long dark hair, bare face, no makeup. She smiled. The driver didn't think anything of it until the news broke. He went back to his dashcam footage, zoomed, enhanced, and when he posted the still to a football forum, the headline said it all. Tell me that's not Meghan Markle. By this point, the denials were getting harder to believe. Meghan's reps, when reached for comment, gave a single sentence. The Duchess of Sussex has no professional or personal ties to the University of Michigan. But here's the twist. That statement was immediately contradicted by a former university staffer who leaked internal emails from months prior, showing Meghan's name listed as an invited guest to a private donor wellness dinner. Who signed the invitation? Coach Price. Now pause and ask yourself, why would a football coach at a Big Ten university invite Meghan Markle to a private, donor-only dinner? What connection could possibly justify that? And more importantly, why was it kept off the record? You see, this wasn't a simple misstep. It was a slow-motion implosion. And at the center of it all was Prince Harry. Let's go back to the moment he saw the photo. According to palace-adjacent sources, Harry first heard about the leak from a friend. He didn't believe it. He brushed it off, thought it was another cheap tabloid stunt. But when he clicked the link, when he zoomed in, when he saw that bracelet, he didn't say a word. He stared at the screen for 27 seconds, then quietly stood up and walked out of the room. Later that night, he sent one message to his team. No press comment. Let's wait. I need confirmation. But confirmation didn't come from lawyers. It came from her phone, because Meghan had left her iPad open on the kitchen island. And a notification popped up. A message from someone saved only as H. Not Harry, not a contact, just an H. The message? If they saw us, it doesn't matter. I don't regret it. And that's when Harry knew. The photo wasn't an accident. It wasn't mistaken identity. It was real. His wife, his partner, the mother of his children, had been carrying on a secret, emotionally intimate, and possibly physical relationship. And it wasn't with someone from Hollywood. It was with a football coach from Michigan. Let that sink in. All the interviews, all the documentaries, all the teary-eyed confessions about the toll of royal life, the pain of being silenced. While behind the scenes, something else was happening. Something Harry had no idea about. Or did he? Because here's the gut punch. Sources say Harry had already been suspicious, that he had noticed Meghan being evasive, that she kept changing passwords, that she claimed to be going on solo retreats, but never posted photos until days later. He asked questions. She said he was paranoid. She accused him of not trusting her. And that, according to insiders, is what hurt them most. Not the photo, not the betrayal, but the gaslighting. Because Meghan didn't just keep secrets. She made Harry feel guilty for asking about them. And that kind of betrayal cuts deeper than infidelity. One friend of Harry's said, he's not heartbroken. He's numb. Like, there's nothing left to fight for. But the story doesn't end there. Because once the photo broke the internet, once the screenshots flooded social media, Meghan's team went into crisis mode. Emails were sent. Legal threats flew. Paparazzi were warned. And then, out of nowhere, Meghan disappeared. No paparazzi photos. No brand appearances. No charity events. Just gone. Rumor has it she checked into a remote wellness retreat in the Pacific Northwest. One known for celebrity discretion. No phones. No internet. No contact. The same place, ironically, where she reportedly went after her breakdown following the Oprah interview fallout. Only this time, she didn't bring Harry. And here's where things twist yet again. Because while Meghan was hiding, Coach Price was fired. And not gently. The university issued a second statement, confirming Coach Harlan Price has been released from his position due to violations of university policy related to conduct and use of institutional resources. Translation? He used school funds, staff time, and facilities for personal reasons. You don't need to be Sherlock to figure out what that means. Especially when the leaked audit showed that Price had booked 3 hotel stays using a donor card, each stay coinciding with Meghan's quiet trips. It was over. The affair wasn't a theory anymore. It was a fact, confirmed by timestamps, backed by receipts, framed in a single, devastating photograph. And Prince Harry? He wasn't just betrayed. He was blindsided. But here's the real kicker. That photo, that devastating, humiliating image, was just the first leak. Because what came next wasn't a photo. It was an email. And once it hit Harry's inbox, there was no coming back. It didn't start with a kiss, or a touch, or even a flirty glance across a candlelit dinner. It started with a DM. A message Meghan Markle allegedly typed, retyped, deleted, and finally sent. 7 words. Casual, friendly, harmless, if you're reading it cold. That panel was inspiring. You speak truth. No emojis. No punctuation. No flirtation. But it hit like a spark on dry brush. Because that DM, sent from Meghan's private, verified account, landed in Coach Harlan Price's inbox just after 11:42 p.m. the night of their first public encounter at a wellness leadership summit in LA. He didn't reply immediately, not because he wasn't interested, but because he was smart, strategic. The next morning, he replied with, "Appreciate that. You were pretty quiet in the room. Processing or bored?" Meghan responded 7 minutes later. "Some people listen louder than they speak." Smiley face. That was the first smiley face. And that's when it began. What followed over the next 11 months was a digital relationship built in the shadows, carefully worded, deliberately paced, and completely hidden from the world. At first, it was all about shared ideas. They traded quotes, podcast links, mental health book recommendations, TED Talks. He sent her a copy of Grit by Angela Duckworth. She sent him an early preview of her children's book, The Bench, months before publication. There was nothing overt, nothing anyone could label inappropriate. But the subtext was electric. They started signing off messages with single letters. She became M. He was H. Not to be confused with her husband, of course. That was the first layer of betrayal. Because even in the codes, she blurred the lines. And as weeks passed, the DMs evolved. She began sending voice notes. Short ones at first. Thoughtful, warm, vulnerable. "I can't sleep. My brain doesn't turn off. Harry says I should meditate more, but I feel like I'm already floating above my life. You have a grounded energy. It's rare." One message, leaked by a tech source who allegedly gained access to backup files, contained Meghan softly whispering, "If we'd met 10 years ago, I think my life would look very different." Coach Price responded with a photo. A picture of his old playbook from college. Handwritten notes. Coffee stains. A page dog-eared with the word vision circled. He added, "Different paths. Same hunger." By now, they were messaging every other day. And it was escalating. They started FaceTiming. Quick, encrypted calls. 15 minutes. Then 30. Then 2 hours. Meghan allegedly saved his number under the name Mindful Mike, a nod to their original panel theme. Harry never suspected a thing. She told him she was building new connections for her upcoming series on resilient leadership. And Price? He knew better than to brag. He kept it locked down. Used Signal. Used burner phones. But secrecy makes things sweeter. That's what one insider close to Coach Price reportedly said when asked about the affair. They weren't sloppy. They were strategic. That's why it lasted so long. But they couldn't hide forever. Because emotional affairs, like physical ones, always leave fingerprints. And theirs were all over the place. Flight records, midnight hotel reservations, surprise appearances at low-profile Michigan events. Let's trace the timeline. August, the first call, lasted 47 minutes. Meghan spoke from a yoga retreat in Ojai. September, Meghan travels to New York for a charity gala. Her plane makes a suspicious 3-hour detour to Michigan due to air traffic, according to the flight log. October, first physical sighting. Meghan photographed in the skybox during Michigan's home game. Her team denies it's her. Internet sleuths match her jewelry and posture. November, first leaked text. From Meghan to Harlan. "I'm starting to feel like I'm living 2 lives. And I'm not sure which one is the real me." He replied, "You already know. You just haven't chosen yet." That was when things crossed a line. Because the next week, they met in person. Private suite. Detroit hotel. 2 nights. No press. No PR team. 1 room. 1 bed. That's not speculation. That's confirmation from a hotel employee who came forward after the firing. She saw them. She served them. She heard Meghan laughing at breakfast. Heard her say, "You make me feel normal again." If that doesn't sting, wait for December. That's when Meghan stopped hiding how she felt. In one voice memo, her tone shifted. You're the only person who listens to me without waiting for their turn to speak. When I'm with you, I'm not a headline. I'm not a duchess. I'm just Meg. Meg. The name Harry used to call her. The name engraved in their wedding vows. Now whispered to another man. By January, they had a rhythm. Private jet to Michigan. 3-day stay. Back to California. Harry thought she was visiting a friend in Seattle. Meghan sent photos of cloudy skies, green trees, spa robes. But metadata never lies. Those photos. Time-stamped and geotagged to Ypsilanti, Michigan. A 10-minute drive from Coach Price's home. By February, they were full-blown. Not just texts. Not just calls. They had routines. Shared playlists. Private Netflix profiles. Secret emails through Proton Mail. And most heartbreaking, a shared notes folder titled, Things That Make Us Smile. One entry from Meghan. That night we sat in silence and watched the snow fall. No words. Just presence. Another from Price. You falling asleep mid-sentence, holding my wrist like it's the anchor keeping you here. They were in deep. But here's the twist. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional dependency. And Meghan, for all her public strength, seemed addicted to the escape. Because the final phase of their affair, March to May, was marked by tension. Her messages grew frantic. Harry's starting to notice. I think they're watching me. If this gets out, we're both done. Price tried to reassure her. Told her to lay low. Said he'd protect her at all costs. But he couldn't stop what was coming. Because once that photo leaked, Meghan panicked. She went silent for 2 days. Didn't answer texts. Didn't open their shared doc. Didn't return his calls. And then came the goodbye. One message. Voice note. Her voice low, tired, almost detached. I didn't plan this. I didn't expect this. But it happened. And for a while it was real. I'm sorry. I can't keep going. Not like this. No name. No closure. Just gone. And Price? He didn't take it well. He showed up late to practices. Snapped at players. Started skipping press conferences. And 2 weeks later, he was fired. 2 days after that, detained. And inside his phone, the entire affair, archived. Saved. Even the final note. Even the breakup. Even the line that still echoes. It was real. But here's what no one saw coming. The affair may be over. But Meghan wasn't done. Because one email, never meant to be seen, was discovered on her iCloud backup. An unsent draft. Addressed to Coach Price. Subject line. Would you do it again? The body? Empty. Just one question. Unsent. Unread. Unanswered. Until now. Because if that email ever leaks, the whole world will know. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a choice. A pattern. A crack in the perfect facade. And what comes next will make that photo look like a warm-up. They say betrayal doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it comes with a buzz. A soft vibration on a kitchen counter. A screen lighting up in the dark. A familiar sound paired with an unfamiliar name. That's how Prince Harry found out. Not through paparazzi. Not through the palace. Not even from Meghan. He found out because of a mistake. Because of one careless message sent to the wrong device. Let's rewind the moment. It's early morning in Montecito. The Sussex home is unusually quiet. Meghan is asleep in the bedroom. The kids are with the nanny. And Harry, restless, can't shake a gnawing feeling that something's off. He walks into the kitchen, makes tea, pours it into the same blue mug Meghan always uses. That's when he sees it. Her iPad, face down, charging. He never checks her devices. He's not that guy, but something pulls him toward it. A flicker of instinct. A whisper in his gut. Then buzz. A message flashes on screen. From H. Not him. And the preview? Just one line. That touchdown was for you, Red Heart. Harry freezes. Not because of the words. Because of the emoji. Meghan never uses emojis with strangers. Especially not hearts. That was their thing. Something private. His pulse spikes. He doesn't open the full message at first. He just stares. Stares at the name. The icon. The timestamp. Then, almost mechanically, he swipes to unlock. And there it is. The full thread. Hundreds of messages. Hidden under a generic contact. Disguised with vague language. But the content? Crystal clear. The jokes. The affirmations. The private code names. Photos. Playlists. Deleted images still lingering in the cloud. And the worst part? The dates. This didn't start last week. This had been going on for months, overlapping with their anniversary, with Archie's birthday, with appearances where Meghan held Harry's hand and smiled like nothing was wrong. He scrolls further, past the jokes, past the poems, until he hits a voice memo. He plays it. Meghan's voice. Soft, intimate, vulnerable. I wish I could bottle the feeling I get when you say my name. You remind me who I was before all this. Harry doesn't breathe. He's gripping the edge of the counter, trying to stay upright, trying not to crumble. But it's too much. He closes the iPad, walks into the backyard, and just stands there, alone, for almost an hour. What was he thinking? Anger? Hurt? Humiliation? All of it. But most of all, disbelief. Because Harry didn't see it coming. Not even a hint. He believed Meghan when she said the media was out to get her. Believed her when she said she needed space. Trusted her when she claimed the wellness retreats were about healing, not hiding. And now? Now he sees it all differently. Now, every "I love you" comes with an asterisk. Every absence feels like an indictment. Every kiss feels retroactively counterfeit. But even then, even in the thick of heartbreak, Harry doesn't explode. He doesn't storm into the bedroom. Doesn't wake her up screaming. Doesn't call the tabloids or tweet something cryptic. He makes a decision. To investigate. To know everything before confronting her. Because the public already sees him as fragile. Weak. Controlled. He can't afford another PR disaster. So he does what any son of Princess Diana would do. He goes quiet. And he starts digging. First, he checks the photos. Do the timestamps match her retreats? Yes. Do the emails align with their charity appearances? Yes. Does Meghan's calendar have suspicious gaps? Yes. Then he checks her travel history. Pulls up flight confirmations. Private jet logs. Hotel receipts. One trip stands out. A round-trip charter from LA to Michigan, booked under an alias. Her alias? Meghan Rochelle. She's used it before, for secret meetups with stylists and private fittings. But this time, the hotel name is familiar. The same one used by the University of Michigan during away games. The receipt shows room service, 2 entrees. A bottle of Merlot. Chocolate fondue. Romantic. Too romantic. Then, Harry checks her notes app. One folder is password protected. He guesses the code. It's their wedding date. It opens. Inside, dozens of saved messages. Quotes. Voice recordings. Snippets of conversations. But none of them are about him. They're about Coach Price. She's archived his words. Cherished them. Built a whole digital shrine around his voice. And in that moment, something breaks in Harry. Not just trust. Not just love. Something deeper. Something primal. The knowledge that he wasn't just cheated on. He was replaced. Meghan didn't seek comfort. She sought something better. Or at least, that's how it felt. And now he's left with the fallout. He considers calling her mother. Considers calling William. Even Charles. But he doesn't. Instead, he writes one line in his journal. The truth doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Then ruins everything. He closes the book and goes to sleep on the couch. The next morning, he acts like nothing's wrong. Because Harry doesn't want to fight. He wants a strategy. He wants to see how long Meghan keeps lying. And so begins the quiet war. For the next 3 days, he observes. Tracks her movements. Notices her flinches when her phone buzzes. Watches how quickly she flips her screen. How defensively she guards her devices. And when he finally confronts her, it's not a scene. It's a sentence. Simple. Chilling. How long has he been calling you Meg? She freezes. Everything about her face changes. The guilt is immediate. She doesn't deny it. Doesn't play dumb. Just looks away. And in that silence, Harry knows. It's real. It happened. All of it. The man she called her anchor. The man she swore was her forever. Had been living in a lie. And the worst part? She didn't seem sorry. She seemed relieved. As if the burden of secrecy was finally lifted. And Harry? He walked away. Not with rage. Not with violence. But with a resignation so painful, it hurt to watch. Insiders say he's been sleeping in a guest house. Not speaking to Meghan unless it's about the kids. Publicly, he's still silent. But privately, he's assembling a team. Lawyers. Advisors. Crisis managers. Because what started with a message will end with a reckoning. And Meghan? She's already making moves. Because just days after their confrontation, she reached out to someone unexpected. Someone she hasn't spoken to in years. Someone who might just change everything. Buckingham Palace hadn't said a word publicly. Not a whisper, not a murmur, not even a glance toward the transatlantic chaos brewing across the pond. But behind those towering golden gates, panic. Controlled, veiled, and exquisitely dignified panic. Because say what you will about the firm, they don't like mess. They don't do scandal. And the last time Meghan Markle's name lit up their emergency phones like this, well, let's just say the Oprah interview nearly gave a few courtiers cardiac arrests. But this was different. Because this time, she wasn't just lobbing accusations at the monarchy. She was imploding from within. An affair, a coach, a secret digital trail, and Prince Harry, the Queen's grandson, standing humiliated in full global view. And that, more than anything else, made the palace realize they had to act fast. The moment the Michigan story hit the tabloids, the palace's private communication line, used for internal royal emergencies, began buzzing nonstop. Calls flew between Clarence House, Kensington Palace, and Sandringham. One phrase repeated over and over. Do we contain, or do we cut? Because here's the brutal truth. While the firm had long distanced itself from Harry and Meghan, they'd never officially severed the emotional cord. There was always a chance Harry might return, quietly, without Meghan. And now, with the scandal spilling across international headlines, they saw it, the opportunity, an opening to reclaim a fallen prince. But to do that, they had to move very carefully. Because while Meghan was out there being linked to a football coach, Prince Harry still bore the Windsor name. Any public misstep could backfire. So King Charles, ever the strategist, called an emergency private briefing. Held at Highgrove. No press. No leaks. No nonsense. The attendees? Sir Edward Young, former Queen's private secretary. Clive Alderton, Charles's most trusted aide. Lady Susan Hussey, yes, her, brought back in quietly for advice. A private team of image consultants. And, crucially, Prince William. The brother, the heir, the man who'd once said Harry was lost to the fog of fame. William reportedly arrived late. Silent, grim-faced. When asked what he thought of the situation, he allegedly replied, "She's finally done what we feared." And he let her. There was no glee in his tone. No, I told you so. Just quiet devastation. Because this scandal didn't just damage Harry. It embarrassed the entire House of Windsor. Make no mistake, while Harry and Meghan had stepped back from royal duties, they hadn't relinquished their titles. He was still Duke of Sussex. She was still a duchess. And now, that duchess was being accused of emotionally betraying a royal in front of the entire world. One palace insider summed it up in 4 chilling words. It's Diana all over again. A media feeding frenzy. A transatlantic war of perception. A vulnerable prince caught in the middle of emotional chaos. And just like with Diana, the press wasn't letting up. Headlines screamed. Meghan's secret life exposed. Harry's American nightmare. Royal divorce incoming. So what did the palace do? They initiated a containment protocol. Here's what that looked like. A communication freeze. All working royals were instructed not to comment on Meghan or Harry in any upcoming engagements. Strategic PR placements. Stories about Prince William's charity work and Queen Camilla's latest literacy initiative were pushed to the forefront. Historical optics. A sudden uptick in references to the stability of the monarchy appeared in royal-friendly publications like The Times and The Telegraph. Whispers of welcome. Very subtly, royal correspondents began dropping one line in interviews. If Harry ever chose to return, it's believed the king would keep the door open. Just like that, the seeds were planted. Meghan was being positioned as the problem. Harry? As the victim. And once again, the royal PR machine had found its angle. But that's not all. Because even behind the walls of Buckingham Palace, people were talking. Princess and, always direct, reportedly said in a private meeting, "The boy needs to come home. We warned him." Camilla? She was reportedly furious. She saw the scandal as not just a media disaster, but a potential threat to King Charles's global diplomatic efforts, especially in the U.S., where Meghan still had influence. And William? William was caught in the middle, privately conflicted, publicly poised. But sources say he did reach out. Not to Meghan. To Harry. It wasn't a warm call. There were no jokes. No memories. But it was real. William asked him 2 questions. Are you all right? And, do you want out? Harry didn't answer either directly. But William didn't need him to, because just days later, Harry's legal team reached out to London-based attorneys who specialize in royal asset separation. And that told the palace everything they needed to know. But this wasn't just about family drama. The government was also alerted. Why? Because if Meghan's affair involved potential financial misconduct, like being hosted at publicly funded universities, flying on private jets tied to charities, then it wasn't just a scandal. It was a legal risk. Home Office officials quietly reviewed Meghan and Harry's immigration and visa filings for the first time since they moved to the U.S. Talks began about potential revocation of privileges if financial misuse was discovered. Let that sink in. From royal weddings to whispered investigations. From tiaras to TSA. That's how far they'd fallen. And in the middle of it all, Harry, once again, trapped between two worlds. The woman he fought for, and the crown he left behind. But there was one more twist. Because just when the palace thought they had control of the narrative, Meghan made a move no one expected. She reached out to a tabloid journalist. Someone she had once sued. Someone she had publicly condemned. Why? We don't know yet. But one thing's for certain. She's not done talking. And the palace? They're bracing for the next wave. Because what Meghan says next could destroy everything they've built.